Welcome to the Booktopia podcast. I'm Sarah McDuling, Booktopia's category manager for kids and YA. I am delighted to be talking today to my two wonderful and amazing colleagues, Tracey Mills, head of academic books, and Eden Samuels, assistant category manager for kids and YA. And I got everyone's name out and everyone's job title out without making any mistakes, and I'm so happy. We are today talking about the CBCA shortlists.
But
it's actually a really tough call to call out a fave in this list because it's a pretty stellar list. But I'm going to start by talking about The End of the World is Bigger Than Love by Davina Bell.
Lovely, lovely book.
That is, we were lucky enough to talk to Davina about this book on the podcast, and it was such a phenomenal podcast. It was such a phenomenal book to read in the middle of 2020.
Yeah.
It's like this beautiful fever dream, apocalyptic like symphony, that book, and so wonderful to read a book for older readers from Davina, who I'm more used to reading younger readers from her.
Definitely.
So something new from her. Would I pass the floor on to either of you to talk about one of the other books on the older readers shortlist?
Well, I mean, the Davina Bell was my favourite of the shortlist for the older readers, but I do love Zara Fralin as well. The Lost Soul Atlas is her book that's on the list this year, and she's just such a beautiful writer. I don't think there's been any of her books that I haven't loved.
Yeah, The Bone Sparrow was such a beautiful book. This is going to be a really hard, I don't know, I can't pick a favourite here because we've also got When Rain Turns to Snow by Jane Godwin, which was one of the most beautiful middle grade books.
Yeah, and Metal Fish Falling Stone.
Another amazing
it's just
one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I
amazing.
love road trip books.
Yes.
Like the road trip books are a real thing. If I even have a hint of a road trip in a blurb, I'm there.
Same.
And that one was particularly amazing. And then and I also really liked Peter Lyer's Rating Normal.
That was my favourite one.
Yeah.
Because it's about neurodivergence, which we rarely see. And then it was done in such an awesome way because it was taking apart what is normal, and it also had the queer aspect of it, which I really loved. So that was a good one.
That was a great one, and a really top seller for us.
Yeah.
That one,
Yeah.
it was hard to keep it in stock for a while. Our cupboards were bare of that book. I couldn't get it in fast enough.
Its own voices as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Now, I haven't actually read Where We Begin. Have either of you
Oh, the
read
Christine
that
Neiman one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, unfortunately.
So that's on all of our reading lists.
That has so many very important issues because I think it tackles abortion, family violence, alcoholism. There's so much. So there's a lot of triggers, but it's a very powerful book for an older YA audience.
Okay, that's on all of our TBR. That's the whole list.
Yeah.
We've done the whole older readers
We
list.
sped through it.
Okay, so moving on to the younger readers list. I'll just go through it. So we've got Asta's Good Right Thing by Kate Gordon. We've got Bindi by Curly Saunders. We've got I always just call the book The Prince of Cloudburst. The Stolen Prince of Cloudburst by the amazing Jacqueline Moriarty. And We Are Wolves by Christina Nannerstead.
Yeah.
And I'm missing one. What have I?
Book of Chance.
Yes.
Sue Whitting.
No.
No?
And Worst Things.
Worst Things by Sally Murphy and Sarah Davis. So prepared for this podcast.
This was another hard one as well.
Oh, there's so many good
We Are
ones.
Wolves was amazing, but I have to say my favourite book of this list is the Jacqueline Moriarty, The Stolen Prince of Cloudburst.
I'm
Sounds
really
amazing.
torn. I'm really torn particularly between and Bindi. There's not.
was timely.
This is a stellar list. Well done, CBCA.
Yes.
We Are Wolves. I lost my mind over that book. Again, we were lucky enough to talk to Christina Nannerstead about that book on the podcast. It was another podcast that I really loved. She's phenomenal. The book is so moving. And and so lovely. And also, I know this shouldn't factor into it, but such a beautiful object of a book.
Gorgeous, gorgeous book.
Yeah, I don't like to judge a book by its cover, but when it's particularly gorgeous, it really does play into it, which, I mean, The Stolen Prince of Cloudburst, also a beautiful book.
I love it.
Inside and out.
And it's such a fun read.
Oh.
That's what I love about Jacqueline Moriarty. You start the first chapter and it just hooks you in and just pulls you through the book on this adventure, and it's just fun. And I think after the year we've had, that's the kind of book you need to be reading, even if you're an adult. Like the Jacqueline Moriarty kids books are just insanely fun to read.
She's such a favourite of mine. The whimsy and humour and emotion in all of her books. I particularly have loved this series, of which Cloudburst is number 3. I also really thought the way that she handled in that book, there's a, without going too spoilery, there's an adult figure in the book that is perhaps not trustworthy. Yeah. And that's, a difficult thing to broach in a kid's book. And I thought it was done really beautifully and really well.
Yeah, I think she has a unique way of tackling things like diversity and differences and not judging people based on, who they are. I shouldn't say race, but in the book, on their differences, the different type of magic that they have or the different abilities that they have. And,
and she does it all in a way that is full of magic and
there's a boarding
charm.
School, right? Because I'm sold on anything with a school in it. So I will read that. It is on my TBR, high up the list.
Okay, so moving on to early childhood. I'm going to start with An Enemy Is Not the Enemy because that book is so charming.
It's so cute. I love An Enemies anyway, but it is such a cute book.
I read this book to my nieces, and it has, as well as just being like a lovely, cute little story, which ultimately turns out to be an educational story about the symbiotic relationship between clownfish and anemones.
Yeah.
But also is just a gorgeous little ode to friendship and stuff. But on the sides of the book, there's this little hermit crab, and they do cute little asides and little jokes going on in tandem with the story. The illustrations are beautiful. I absolutely love it. I'm also going to shout out to another beautiful book, which is Libby Hathorn's No Never.
I like this one.
This one's so great.
It is so cute, and it's if you've anyone who's ever had children around who get that constant no, it's such a funny book. And
really, really great illustration style.
Yeah.
Like I love that illustration style. It's distinctive. It really fits the story. It's a really fun one to read out loud.
Yeah.
I really,
for sure.
It
reminds me of the We Love You Magoo by Breonna Stewart because Brioni, I think I said that wrong, because you have this, I just love dogs. It's a very funny lyrical tale, but it's about this dog that is just doing everything it shouldn't. And it's a message to children too that you're not always the boss. And sometimes you need to just calm down a little and listen. It's a very cute one.
And then there's that Who's Your Real Mum, which is a really great book for teaching kids that not all families are the same, that
That's a brilliant
there's
book.
lots of different types of families.
Yes, and I love increasingly that we're getting picture books to represent all the different ways that you can have a family. That one's very lovely. There's also There's No Such Thing by Heidi McKinnon, who's a favourite of mine because of I Just Ate My Friend, which is such a good book and such a good go-to gift. It's not the book on the shortlist. The book on the shortlist is There's No Such Thing, which is also, it's just got that same quirky humour of hers. It's like it's a really lovely book. It's like the concept of it is that there's a little bear with a little teddy bear in a tent, imagining all of the scary things that could be outside in the woods, and like you think The way that this story would normally go is like, oh, it's not real, it's just your imagination. Like, there's no monster under the bed, really. But this is a Heidi McKinnon book, so there is. And it's lovely to read, and it's funny and quirky.
Very cute. It's very reassuring too. I feel like for a lot of children who have like nighttime terrors, it kind of puts a funny spin on it.
Yeah. And Busy Beaks.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful book. The illustrations of that book are so stunning, with just like every single different type of bird that you can imagine. Australian bird that you can imagine. Just like, I think when I first saw that book, I flipped through it all the way, and then I went back to the beginning and just flipped through it again.
It's got a nice rhyme to it as well when you're reading it. So.
Yeah. Did I miss one?
No, you got all of them.
We Love You, Magoo.
Oh, yeah, that was that.
Oh, no, we did. Yeah, okay, got them all. Okay, picture books.
Yep.
So many good ones.
I need... sorry.
How to Make a Bird. That was magical.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that like captures the creative process through the eyes of a young girl, and she's kind of inspired by nature and takes things from her environment to put together a bird, and it sounds so bizarre and whimsical, and it is all those things, and the illustrations are just like out
that
of
is
this
a
world.
spellbinding book, isn't it?
Yeah.
And has been very popular with schools.
Yeah.
I'm reading this list off my phone, which just decided to have a little panic attack, so I lost the whole list.
You also have Ellie's Dragon by Bob Graham, which is
yeah.
beautiful. It's about a little girl hatching a dragon, which was probably my favourite because I would love to have a dragon.
What a dream.
Look, dragons are the best.
But then I also loved Not Cute, the Philip Bunting, about a quokka, because I love quokkas.
Philip Bunting is always good. I know we're again, segue to a non-CBCA related topic, but we're approaching National Simultaneous Storytime, and Give Me Some Space by Philip Bunting is the book chosen this year.
Great.
But yeah, this one I agree. So adorable. You can't really, like, Philip Bunting's illustration style is so distinctive.
Yeah.
And that's a great book. Agree, Ellie's Dragon. Another one. Couldn't keep it in stock. Kept flying off. Flying off the shelves. We've also got Your Birthday Was the Best. This is a wild book. I love this book because, like, it features a cockroach, which you think it's a very cute cockroach, and it's a very funny, like, silly, cute book. That you think, it's not the topic that you would think of for a children's book, but it just works so well. Anyone seeking out these books will probably see a lot of them are temporarily out of stock at the moment. That's just, they're so popular, we can't keep them in stock. And Your Birthday Was the Best is one of those that we're waiting to get stock back. Unfortunately, we're out of stock until August. That's how good it is.
And then I love Freya Blackwood. I have always loved her books, and The Unwilling Twin is another gorgeous book about a little girl and her twin pig.
How does that work?
I want that.
It's very, very funny. It's very cute.
And then the last one I think that we haven't touched on yet on this list is Norton and the Bear. I don't know this book. Have either of you seen this book?
No, I haven't seen a finished copy.
Either.
I feel really terrible that we don't have anything to say about this book. But you know what? We'll get a coffee and look through it.
We will.
We've done well. We got to this point in the shortlist to reach a book that we hadn't seen. So now the last list that we haven't maybe
There's two more.
Actually, let's just on
Eve Pownell, and then the
wait. I'm going back to Norton and the Bear. As we can't speak about it, I'm going to just quickly read out the blurb for people listening. Is imitation the sincerest form of flattery, or is it just annoying? This irresistible read aloud helps children deal with sensitive topics of conformity, individuality, and belonging in an accessible, kid-friendly way. Whether you're more like a Norton or the Bear, this story will show you that there's room for all kinds of creative expression. Perfect. By Gabriel Evans, and it looks really beautiful. I'm flipping through internals right now. Absolutely gorgeous. and visual aids in a podcast never really work out. So I'm sorry I can't share the internals with you, but you can see them on the Booktopia website. Moving on to the next list, which is the Eve Pownell list. This is for illustration, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the Encyclopedia of Dangerous Animals.
Always love looking at those sort of encyclopedias.
Yeah.
So much fun.
This book is, so Sammy Bailey last year came along with the Encyclopedia of Ugly Animals and really dominated as a Christmas present for kids in 2019. In 2020, it followed up with the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Dangerous Animals. Her illustrations are so amazing. Like, you can't look away from them. And these books are really, really beautiful. So, yeah, definitely a worthy one on that list. We also have... does someone else want to... I don't want to go through everything.
Strangers on Country?
Yeah.
Strangers on Country. So that's by Dave Hartley. I hope I've said that right. Kirsty Murray and Dub Leffler is the illustrator. And it's actually based on true historical factual events of, I think we follow 6 young shipwreck survivors who are taken in by Indigenous communities in Australia when they land here. And it's really cool because the chapters are in 2 perspectives. So you get, the look of these wonderful Indigenous people who've welcomed these people onto their land and into their homes. And then you have these castaways and convicts given refuge. And at the end of every chapter, it includes like a bit of a history lesson with all these facts. And it's awesome because it's like finally Australian history told from the perspective of its owners.
Yeah. And it's a very different story from what we normally hear. We hear all about the conflict between white settlers and Aboriginals, but
it's very
the Aboriginal people actually took these people in and looked after them, and
it's amazing, like humongous hearts.
Is that your favourite to win on this list?
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, I think
really
I'm with
does.
you.
See, I loved the Hold On, Saving the Spotted Handfish, because these fish are so quirky that they walk on their fins. And
that was pretty
I just
cool.
love these books that are promoting conservation of a particular species.
Yeah, very important.
Because it gives kids an insight into a species they may not necessarily come across.
And that walking fish, I'm flipping through it now. The illustrator of this one is Rachel Trippo. Have I said that correctly?
I think, Trippo, yeah.
Yeah, this fish is amazing. I love it. I love that that's the picture chosen for the cover as well. Beautiful. Next up is Dry to Dry. This book is stunning about the seasons in Kakadu.
Cool.
Have you guys seen this?
Yeah.
I feel like I flipped through it.
Yeah, it's got that
gorgeous.
particular style of I'm probably going to get this wrong. To me, it looks like watercolour. Would you say that it's a watercolour illustration? Yeah. And they're just, but there's also I don't think it's only, I wish I could speak to illustrations better because it's got lines. There's hard lines and then a watercolour-y feeling to it. So it's beautiful Australian landscape illustrations. And then we've also got, is that everything? Oh, Matthew Flinders. This is a great book.
Leaky ships.
I love this style of illustration as well. It's so cute. The cover, the expression on Matthew Flinders' face is just kind of doo-doo-doo. This is a really cool book. And I think quite extensive text in this one as well.
Yeah.
So what age range is this one for?
I would target that at primary school age. It's a great book for teaching history in primary school and maybe even up to early high school, but it's predominantly primary school.
This is a hard list to judge. And we've got the Azaria book as well.
Ah, yes.
And telling the true history of Azaria Chamberlain. And look, those illustrations are really beautiful as well.
Yeah, they're very stark. The black backgrounds and
really vivid, bright colours. Is that the whole of the Eve Pownell list? Is that everything? Have we covered the whole? What one have I missed?
CBCA Award for New Illustrator.
There's so many good ones.
I have to
How
say,
do you pick?
I love that Go Away Worry Monster.
Oh, yeah.
I love the dog in it. The
It's
details.
so-
of
That
the
is a
eyebrows.
great
It's so
book.
cute.
I needed that when I was younger. Like, that's all I'm saying. If that existed,
I need that
different
now.
person.
I just love the vibrant, in-your-face
Yeah.
colours in that book. It's so much fun.
And it, it has all those coping strategies for like starting school, changing school, shifting family dynamics. It's amazing.
I really like that book. I also just realised No Never is on this list as well. Twice nominated.
Yeah.
This small blue
Deservingly.
dot.
Yeah, and this one has...
This small blue dot.
that was... Yeah.
That one is amazing. I love that so much.
That is actually such an original illustration style, that book. I haven't really seen anything like that.
And it's so like reminiscent of childhood. Like it gives you nostalgia just flipping through it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And the Shirley Purdy is beautiful.
Oh.
That beautiful Aboriginal style artwork all the way through that. It's just a gorgeous book.
I think it's told in English and Gija. I hope I said that right, which is like her language. It's amazing.
And beautiful. And I love reading picture books at that age about real people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, it's amazing reading to a young child, like 3, 4 or 5 years old, and being able to say to them, this is all real, like this is all a real thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very accessible.
And what else have we got here?
We've got Ribbit Rabbit Robot by Sophia Kamazina.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which is, again, it's another fun, cute book that it's a little bit crazy. And
Rabbits and Robots. How can you go wrong? And 7 Seas of Fleas. I haven't seen this one.
Either.
I'm looking at it. I'm flipping through it right now. It's adorable. Oh my gosh, it really is a sea of fleas.
Oh, really? Oh.
That's by David Petzold. And as we can't speak to having flipped through this one, I'll just read from the blurb that it's a flying boy and 7 bees are chased by fleas, but an unexpected friendship forms. I think this book has won my heart.
Okay.
I haven't even held it yet. That is gorgeous.
Wow.
And these illustrations are really cute and funny as well. That's our list.
Wow.
there's some great books up for the awards
many.
this year. I don't know how they're going to pick. I really don't.
It is. Look, I can't believe we just spoke about every book, and there are only a few that we haven't seen actually in real life. How exciting! Okay, so we've spoken about our favourites.
Yes.
We've gone through every list. When is the next? We should have looked this up before we started the podcast. But when is the next significant date for CBCAs? Is it now?
The awards are announced on Friday the 20th of August, and the book week is running the 21st to the 27th of August, and it has the best theme this year, which is Old Worlds, New Worlds, Other Worlds.
Oh, that's a great thing.
If you get a chance to check out the illustration and the artwork for this year, it's just right up my alley. Like it's more like a sci-fi fantasy kind of approach, and I just love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And look, by August we should be back in stock of all of the books that have gone out of stock with the publishers. So that would be amazing. It's always the way every year with CBCA. That you never know which books will be nominated, so you don't know which books to stockpile. but it's been wonderful talking to you both about the CBCA shortlists. And everyone listening, you can, if not grab a copy now, order one to be delivered once stock becomes available again at your local bookstore or online at Booktopia. Thanks for listening and never stop reading.
Thank you for listening to the Booktopia podcast channel. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on SoundCloud and iTunes for free and get access to hundreds of author discussions, book analysis pieces and more. Or, if your eyes need a workout, head to Booktopia TV on YouTube. Don't forget, for all books featured in this podcast and for access to a whole bunch of other fun content on our blog, head to Booktopia, Australia's local bookstore, at booktopia.com.au.